If you were born outside the United States but became a citizen the right way, this video is for you. Because what I'm about to tell you could fundamentally change how safe you feel about your citizenship forever. Millions of naturalized Americans wake up believing one simple truth. Once you take that oath, once you become a citizen, it's permanent. It can never be taken away. But in 2026, that belief is being tested like never before. Right now, and I mean right now, the US government is quietly reopening old citizenship files. Some from 10 years ago, some from 15, some from 20 years ago. And they're looking for reasons to strip people of the citizenship they already earned. Here's what terrifies immigration experts, even people who did everything honestly, who followed every rule, who answered every question truthfully, are asking themselves tonight, could they come for me next? I'm George from Dream Visa Updates, and for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's happening, who's actually at risk, who has legal protection, and what you need to do right now to protect yourself and your family. Before we go any further, I want to be direct with you. This channel exists for people exactly like you, immigrants, naturalized citizens, families who worked hard, followed the rules, and just want clear, honest information without the fear-mongering, without the political games, without the noise. If you've ever felt confused, scared, or completely ignored when immigration news breaks, this space is for you. I break things down simply, honestly, and with respect because your future matters. I upload videos consistently on denaturalization, citizenship rights, green cards, travel bans, USCIS changes, and what all of this really means for real people, not politicians. Real people like your neighbors, your co-workers, your family members. If you want updates you can actually trust, explanations that make sense, and content made specifically for your situation, subscribe right now. New videos on this exact topic and the changes coming next are being uploaded here. Subscribe so you don't miss something that could directly affect your life. You earned your place here. This is your channel. Let's stay informed together. So let's start with the basics. What exactly does it mean to be a naturalized citizen? A naturalized citizen is someone who wasn't born in the United States, who came here from another country and went through the legal process to officially become an American citizen. And let me tell you, this process is not easy. It's not quick either. It takes many years. First, you need a green card. Then you need to live in the US legally for at least 5 years, sometimes longer, depending on your situation. You pass an English language test. You pass a civics test where they ask you questions about American history and government. You go through background checks. You sit down in person with an immigration officer. They interview you. They grill you. They verify everything. And at the end, you attend a ceremony where you raise your right hand and swear an oath to the United States. This is a big deal. For most people, this is the proudest moment of their entire life. They have worked hard. They've been patient. They've followed every single rule. And finally, they are an American citizen. They believe they are safe. They believe nobody can take this away from them. But in 2026, that feeling of security is being shaken like never before. Right now, there are about 26 million naturalized citizens living in the United States. These are people from Mexico, India, the Philippines, Vietnam, China, Nigeria, Pakistan, and dozens of other countries. These are doctors, engineers, teachers, business owners, soldiers, parents, grandparents. These are people who love this country and have contributed to it every single day. And yet, in early 2026, something happened that sent a shockwave through all 26 million of these communities. The Trump administration announced that it's dramatically expanding its effort to take away citizenship from foreign-born Americans. This is called denaturalization, and the scale of what's being proposed is absolutely unlike anything America has seen in modern history. Let me explain what denaturalization actually means. Denaturalization is when the US government goes to federal court and tries to take away someone's citizenship. Now, this isn't new. It exists in American law, and it has for a long time. But historically, it was used only in the most extreme cases. We're talking about people discovered to be Nazi war criminals who lied during their applications. We're talking about people who hid serious violent crimes when they applied for citizenship. These were extremely rare cases. Between 1990 and 2017, on average, only about 11 denaturalization cases were opened per year. That's it. 11. Even during Trump's first term, from 2017 to 2021, the entire administration filed only 102 denaturalization cases across all 4 years. That's roughly 25 cases per year. These numbers show you how rare and serious this tool was considered to be. But now in 2026, the Trump administration has issued new guidance that is absolutely shocking to immigration experts, to lawyers, to civil rights advocates. According to this new guidance, USCIS, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, the government agency that handles all immigration paperwork, has been directed to send 100 to 200 denaturalization cases per month to the Justice Department. Let that sink in. 100 to 200 cases every single month. That means potentially up to 2,400 cases per year. Compare that to the 11 cases per year in the 1990s and 2000s, or the 102 total cases across Trump's entire first term. This is a massive, unprecedented increase. This is something America has truly never seen before in its modern history. Now you might be thinking, okay, but if they're only going after people who cheated or lied, why should honest, law-abiding citizens be worried? That's a fair question. Let me answer it carefully. The official statement from USCIS says they're targeting people who obtained citizenship through fraud or misrepresentation. A USCIS spokesperson said the agency has zero tolerance towards fraud in the naturalization process. On paper, that sounds reasonable. Nobody wants people who lied their way into citizenship to keep that citizenship. That makes complete sense. But here's the problem, and this is where immigration experts and lawyers are raising serious alarms. It's in the details of how this is actually being carried out. The biggest concern is the quota system. When a government agency is told to produce 100 to 200 cases every single month, there's enormous pressure to meet that number. Think about it like this. If your boss tells you that you must bring in a certain number of cases or your entire department faces consequences, you're going to look harder and harder for cases, even if the evidence isn't very strong, even if you're reaching. Immigration experts are warning that when you set a quota like this, you start pursuing people over minor issues, small mistakes, technical errors on old forms, things that would never have been considered serious enough to take someone's citizenship away before, things that shouldn't matter. Former USCIS official Sarah Pierce said it perfectly when she told the New York Times that requiring monthly quotas that are 10 times higher than recent annual totals turns a serious and rare tool into a blunt instrument and creates unnecessary fear for millions of naturalized Americans. Let's also talk about what's actually happening on the ground across the country right now. USCIS has been reassigning staff members and sending experts to offices in different states specifically to review old naturalization files. These are files of people whose citizenship was approved years ago, maybe even decades ago, and now government officials are sitting in offices going back through these files looking for reasons to challenge citizenship that was already granted. Imagine that for a second. You became a citizen 15 years ago. You've built your life in America. You've raised your children here. You've paid your taxes. You've voted in elections. Maybe you even served in the military. And now someone in a government office somewhere is sitting with your old application file looking for a reason to take all of that away from you. Your citizenship, your future, your stability. The Trump administration's push to expand denaturalization is part of a much larger immigration crackdown that's been happening since the beginning of the second Trump term. The administration has been sending ICE officers into cities across the country for deportation missions. They've been purchasing large warehouses to hold immigration detainees. They've been revoking visas, including visas of students and people who participated in protests. They've been trying to remove green card holders. They've been canceling naturalization ceremonies for people from certain countries. In December 2025, the administration canceled naturalization ceremonies for immigrants from 19 countries labeled as high risk. Think about this. These were people who completed the entire process, years of waiting, multiple interviews, extensive background checks. And some of them were told on the very same day of their ceremony that it was canceled hours before. Can you imagine getting dressed up, inviting your family, planning to become a citizen, and then getting a phone call saying it's not happening? This is the reality that many immigrants are living right now. And speaking of changes to the citizenship process itself, the Trump administration made the naturalization test harder at the start of 2026. The new civics exam now includes 20 oral questions. That's double the previous number, and applicants must answer 12 of them correctly to pass. The exam no longer includes geography questions, but it now requires applicants to be able to name all three branches of the American government. These changes add another layer of difficulty for people trying to become citizens legally and correctly. There have also been changes to green card rules that affect those who want to eventually become citizens. Normally, marrying a U.S. citizen would put you on a faster path to getting a green card, but USCIS has announced that it will now apply much greater scrutiny to these marriage-based applications. It's no longer enough to just show that you're legally married. The government will now focus heavily on whether you actually live together with your spouse, looking for proof of a real shared life, not just a piece of paper. This is clearly aimed at reducing what the government calls marriage fraud, but it also means that genuine married couples will face more pressure to prove their relationship is actually authentic. There's also a travel ban expansion that went into effect on January 1st, 2026. President Trump signed an executive order adding 7 new countries to the travel ban list: Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, South Sudan, Syria, Laos, and Sierra Leone. Citizens of these countries are fully blocked from entering the United States. This is on top of the existing travel bans that were already in place. The list keeps growing, and there's more. Border screening is being expanded as well. Under a new rule that took effect at the end of December 2025, U.S. Customs and Border Protection can now collect facial recognition data from all non-citizens entering and leaving the country, including green card holders, at airports, land crossings, and seaports. Your face is being collected and stored. So let's take a step back and ask the most important question. Can the government actually take your citizenship away? And if they try, what rights do you have? This is critical, and I want to be very clear here. Yes, the government can legally pursue denaturalization, but it is not easy, and it is not automatic. Here's exactly how the process works. First, the government has to open a case against you. This involves a U.S. attorney filing a civil or criminal case in federal court, not USCIS, not some government agency, federal court. The case then goes in front of a federal judge, a real judge in a real courtroom. The government bears the burden of proof. That means it's the government's job to prove that you did something wrong. You are not required to prove that you're innocent. You don't have to prove anything. The standard for denaturalization is very high. The Supreme Court has ruled multiple times that citizenship is too precious, too fundamental to democracy for the government to take it away easily. The court has said that the government must prove not only that you made a false statement on your application, but also that this false statement was material, meaning it actually affected whether you were eligible for citizenship. A small mistake, a minor error, something that didn't change your eligibility. Courts have consistently said that is not enough to strip someone of their citizenship. Not close. So what does this mean for an average, honest, naturalized citizen? For the vast majority of the 26 million naturalized Americans who went through the process correctly and honestly, experts say the actual risk of losing citizenship remains low. Court oversight, high evidentiary standards, and the enormous resources required to bring each individual case all act as barriers against mass denaturalization. Even with 100 to 200 case referrals per month, many of those referrals may not result in actual court cases, and even those that do go to court may not succeed if the evidence isn't strong enough. Aaron Reichlin-Melnick, an immigration fellow at the American Immigration Council, pointed out something crucial. Each case must be proved in front of a federal judge, and the Department of Justice is already stretched extremely thin in terms of resources and staffing. So the quota, he says, may be more of a political statement than a realistic enforcement goal. That said, even if the actual legal risk is lower than the headlines suggest, the emotional and psychological impact on immigrant communities is very real. Very real. Immigration lawyers across the country are reporting that their phones have been ringing nonstop with calls from naturalized citizens who are worried and scared. People who became citizens 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago are lying awake at night wondering if someone is looking at their file. Senior staff attorney Veronica Garcia at the Immigrant Legal Resource Center said that there's definitely fear in the community that people will get their citizenship stripped from them. This fear, even when not legally justified, affects people's mental health. It affects their children. It affects their sense of belonging. It affects their willingness to speak up, to vote, to participate in civic life. And many experts argue that creating this climate of fear is itself part of the goal. There's also a much bigger picture concern here that legal scholars and civil rights advocates are talking about loudly. When the government starts treating naturalized citizens differently from those born in the United States, it creates a two-tier system of citizenship. Born citizens never have to worry about the government reviewing their files and trying to take away their rights. But naturalized citizens, even those who did everything perfectly, now have to live with the knowledge that their citizenship could theoretically be challenged at any moment. The Supreme Court itself said more than a century ago that naturalized citizens are on the same legal footing as those born in the country. The idea that a naturalized citizen is somehow a lesser kind of citizen, more provisional, always subject to review, always at risk of losing what was earned, runs deeply against the founding principles of America as a nation of immigrants. Some officials have gone even further in their statements, raising concerns that this tool could be used not just against people who committed fraud, but against people whose political views or speech the government dislikes. Trump himself, in various statements, has suggested he would be open to denaturalizing people for things like undermining domestic tranquility. That's a very vague and subjective standard. He specifically mentioned public figures like Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and a New York City mayoral candidate as potential targets. Legal experts say that using denaturalization as a political weapon against people for their speech or political views would be completely unconstitutional. The Supreme Court has been very clear. Citizenship cannot be stripped as punishment for expression or political activity. So what should you do if you're a naturalized citizen and you're worried? Let me give you 5 concrete steps. First, take a breath. If you went through the process honestly, answered all the questions truthfully, and didn't hide any important information, you're in a strong position. The legal protections in place are real and meaningful. Courts have consistently protected naturalized citizens' rights. They will again. Second, gather your documents. Make sure you have safe copies of your naturalization certificate, your passport, and any immigration documents from your process. Store them somewhere secure. If you ever need to defend yourself, having organized records is absolutely essential. Third, if you're worried about something specific, like a mistake you may have made on an old form years ago, consult with an experienced immigration attorney immediately. Don't panic. Don't make assumptions. An attorney can look at your specific situation and give you real guidance based on your actual circumstances. Fourth, remember this. Receiving a notice or letter from USCIS is not the same as losing your citizenship. There is a legal process that the government must follow. You have rights every step of the way, every single step. If you receive any communication from USCIS or the Justice Department about your citizenship, contact an immigration lawyer immediately. Don't delay. Fifth, stay informed. Immigration policies are changing rapidly right now. Following trusted news sources, legal organizations, and immigration advocacy groups will help you understand how new developments might affect you. Organizations like the American Immigration Council, the Immigrant Legal Resource Center, and many local legal aid nonprofits are actively working to track these changes and support people who need help. As we wrap up, here's the big picture that I want you to take away. The Trump administration's expansion of denaturalization efforts in 2026 is unlike anything America has seen in modern history. The scale of the proposed monthly quotas is staggering compared to historical norms. The changes to the citizenship test, the travel bans, the marriage green card scrutiny, the facial recognition data collection, the cancellation of naturalization ceremonies. All of these things together paint a picture of an administration trying to make it much harder to become an American citizen and trying to undo citizenship that was already granted. The legal barriers are real. Courts will continue to play a critical role in protecting people's rights. But the fear and uncertainty that all of this is creating in immigrant communities is real too. If you're a naturalized citizen, remember this: you earned your citizenship. You went through the process, you took the oath. America is your home. Know your rights, stay informed, connect with legal resources if you need them, and don't let fear paralyze you. The courts are still standing, the law still protects you, and millions of people, born citizens and naturalized citizens alike, stand with you. If you found this video helpful, please like it, share it. Subscribe to Dream Visa Updates. We're going to continue bringing you clear, honest, easy-to-understand information about the most important topics affecting immigrant communities right now. Leave your questions in the comments below. We read every single one. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you in the next one.